So I am going to briefly go over the grant closeout process. This process is going to take place at the end of each funding year of the grant cycle. A couple dates to keep in mind as you get closer to the end of the grant year, all financial reports need to be turned into us by July 15th. This July 15th date coincides with the end of the state fiscal year. So we're unable to extend the deadline for these reports, but it's only the financial reports. PMT, VOCA, VAWA progress reports, those are going to be due by July 30th in the GMS system. And so as you work through those reports, one thing to double check is as you do your financial report, make sure that all your matches have been met, as well as any paybacks that need to take place as a result of a review, a desk review or a site review. We want to make sure that those are settled prior to submitting your last billing, as well as making sure that you have completed your 2 governing board reports and that those are submitted into the GMS system. Couple tips for the grant closeout. As you go through the grant year, double check your budget and your balance tab. This is so you don't make sure that you've gone over in any areas. And this includes your in-kind and or cash match if you're taking it. And make sure you look at your match carefully. All of those match obligations need to have been billed by the end of the 4th quarter. And as far as that last quarter financial report, you're going to want to start on that as early as possible. I know for a lot of you, you're kind of waiting on other parties to send you that financial data if you are the one that is doing it, or make sure that the individual that is doing your financial reports is made aware of the July 15th deadline for those financial reports. So everybody's on the same page and you make sure that that report is submitted on time. If while you are doing your billing, you have to pay back any money as a result of a desk or site review, when you do pay that back, please make sure to use the notes section in the ledger and share any information as well as detailed explanations in the budget breakdowns on how you're settling that payback. So also, when you get into your progress reports, please make sure that when you submit quarter 4, take a look at all your previous quarters and make sure they are fully submitted and correct as well. You don't want to get all the way through and realize that your quarter 2 was either rejected or it was never saved. So just double check those when we get to the end of the year to make sure all of that is correct. And one thing that we can't stress enough is please make sure your 2 governing reports are uploaded into the GMS system. They are a requirement of your funding, and we want to make sure that those are being done. Now, a couple tips for what not to do as we do the grant closeout. Please do not submit a grant change request for changes that have occurred previously, or wait until the end of your grant to spend out your funds. This includes your match funds. That's why as you go throughout your year, make sure that you're checking on your budget to see where you're at, so that you don't run into this issue, as well as amending the change of the scope of your program just so that you can spend that money. Also, waiting until the last minute to apply for a match waiver is definitely not something that you want to do, and or submit a grant change request for the sole purpose of moving funds from one category to another in order to avoid deobligation. The only exception to this rule is amendments for personnel changes and match. Those will be considered, but if you're starting to try and move money just so that you don't have to deobligate, that's probably not going to go over well. So like I said, rule of thumb is just keep an eye on your budget and your match to make sure you know where you're at and address those earlier on, so you don't run into any issues this way. So that takes care of the grant closeout in a nutshell. One thing that I also want to bring up is the deobligation form. So if you get to the end of your grant year and there is federal money that you have not spent, you're going to see a deobligation form located in your files section, but your grant analyst will also send this out when it gets to the end of the grant year. You will need to enter in your information as well as your active award and what you are going to be deobligating. This amount can be found in your budget tab down towards the bottom, as well as entering your percentage of what is being deobligated, whether or not you have taken the match or not. As well as this portion right here. If you are deobligating over 10% of the total award, we need you to explain the amounts not spent by category and why. So you'll need to complete this if you do not expend all of your federal award. This will be required to be filled out and signed, and then submit it in so that we can take care of those issues. So that takes care of grant closeout. As always, if you still have questions or you need further assistance, please reach out to your grant analyst. We're here to help you as you work through these grant years. So if there's something that you need to address within your award, or if it's getting closer to the end of your grant year and you have questions about your funding and the funding categories, just give us a call, send us an email. And we're happy to work with you. And above all else, we appreciate all your hard work that you do to help victims in the state of Utah.